Dad turned 65 in a storm of balloons and forced cheer. Mom had gone all out her good china, the crystal glasses that only left the cabinet for weddings and holidays. She'd even ironed the cloth napkins, the ones embroidered with little ivy leaves. The dining room glowed under the chandelier, everyone arranged just so, like we were in some warm, glossy commercial for family happiness. I knew better. My brother was in the room. "So, Dad," Evan said, lifting his wineglass with the confidence of someone who expected applause. "Perfect night for good news, right?" At 35, he was the golden child, and he wore it like a tailored suit. Senior developer, beautiful wife, 2 preschoolers who adored him. Their photos were already framed on my parents' hallway wall. I was 32, recently divorced, back in my childhood bedroom while I helped out after Dad's heart attack 6 months ago. My diplomas leaned against the wall, still not rehung. "We've been looking in the suburbs," Evan announced, like a man unveiling a product. "More space, better schools, closer to Lena's work, too." Mom's whole face lit up. "Oh, Evan, that sounds wonderful." "And what does that mean for us?" she asked, though I had the sinking feeling she already knew the answer she wanted. Evan smiled, charming and calculated. "It means you and Dad come live with us. We'll get a bigger place with an in-law suite, maybe even a pool for the kids." Dad's brow furrowed, the lines on his forehead deepening. "And this house?" he asked quietly. "We've been here 30 years. "That's the best part," Evan said. "We sell 1247 Willow Street and use the money as a down payment on the new place. The market's insane right now. 800 grand easy. I've got a realtor ready to go. We could list by the end of the week." The table erupted cheers, clinking glasses, excited murmurs. Aunt Mara declared it such a smart move. Uncle Sam nodded like Evan had just solved inflation. Lena, seated beside me, slid me a sympathetic smile. "It'll be good for you too, Nadia," she said softly. "Fresh start, you always land on your feet." "About time," Mom added, almost under her breath, but not quite. The word stung. This was the porch where Dad had steadied the back of my bike while I wobbled down the sidewalk. The roof I'd helped him patch one summer, both of us sweating and laughing. The kitchen where I'd lined up his pill organizers after the heart attack, color-coding mornings and nights. More practically, this was my mailing address, my room, my life, such as it was. "Less than a week?" I asked, trying to keep my voice level. "If you're not picky," Evan said, "there are plenty of rentals." The air felt thick, like the room had shrunk. I pushed back my chair and slipped out to the front porch, closing the door behind me. The evening was cool. The balloons on the mailbox bobbed gently. I dug my phone out of my pocket and scrolled for a number I hadn't called in months. "Colin Mercer," came the voice on the other end. "Mercer and Hale." "Colin, it's Nadia," I said. "I need property records pulled on 1247 Willow Street, current owner. Any liens, anything recent." Keys clacked on his side. "Give me a second. Okay. Owner of record is Harborite Holdings, LLC. Foreclosure about 18 months ago. Auction 14 months ago. Harborite won the bid." I exhaled, tension leaving my shoulders all at once. "Harborite is me," I said. He paused. "Right, the LLC you formed after the settlement. All clear then?" "Yeah, thanks. I'll call if I need anything else." I stared at the house, the familiar siding, the crooked shutter Dad kept meaning to fix. Harborite Holdings sounded cold and clinical, but it was just me. A shell I'd built with a lawyer's help, and the money from my divorce. I'd used it to buy back my parents' home at auction, quietly so the debt wouldn't swallow them. I went back inside. They were halfway through planning a wine cellar in Evan's imaginary new house when I slipped into my chair again. "All done sulking?" Evan asked, with that smug older brother half smile. "Actually," I said, folding my hands on the table, "I called my attorney." Mom sighed dramatically. "Nadia, please, be serious." "Colin Mercer," I said evenly. "Senior partner, Mercer and Hale, real estate law." Dad's gaze sharpened, cutting through the buzz. "Why'd you call him?" he asked. "I wanted to know what happens," I said, "when someone tries to sell a house they don't own." Evan barked out a laugh that was just a little too loud. "Very funny. Mom and Dad own this house." I shook my head. "No, they lived here 30 years. They haven't owned it for the last 14 months. The room went still. Even the balloon in the corner seemed to stop swaying. Willow Street went into foreclosure after Dad's heart attack, I said, my voice calm because someone had to be. There was an auction. The buyer of record is Harborite Holdings, LLC. Who's that? Lena asked, frowning. Me, I said. It landed like a dropped glass, shattering the mood. Evan's grin vanished. With what money? He demanded. My divorce settlement, I said. I used it to buy the house and clear the debt, so Mom and Dad wouldn't lose their home. I put the deed in the LLC so no one could take it out from under them. I didn't tell you because pride is delicate, and Dad likes saying he kept a roof over our heads. I didn't want to take that away from him. Mom's hands shook where they rested on her plate, the reflected light trembling across her rings. Why wouldn't you tell us? She whispered. Because Dad kept working double shifts when I was a kid, I said. Because he skipped vacations so we could have braces and school trips. Because he loves this story where he carries us. I didn't want to turn it into a scar. I held up my phone. Colin has the records pulled and ready. He's also sending cease and desist letters to any realtor who tries to list the property without my consent. Everyone started talking at once. Aunt Mara called it irrational and emotional. Uncle Sam muttered that it was actually the kindest thing he'd heard in years. Lena stared at the table, her lips moving around silent objections about their plans and budgets. Evan leaned in, jaw clenched. So we're all just supposed to live under your secret, he said? Work around your little power play? We're supposed to live under the law, I said, and under basic decency. You don't decide to make someone effectively homeless as part of a birthday toast. Dad cleared his throat, the same sound he used to make to call us to dinner when we were kids. Nadia, he said, voice rough. You did all that? Yes, I said softly. He rubbed his chest like he was smoothing a wrinkle out of time. Then tonight we slow down, he said. We don't rush into listings or closets or pools. We figure this out as a family. I clicked my phone dark. Too late for the listing anyway. Colin's already on it. The silence stretched, long and fragile. Evan finally snapped it. Fine, he said. Then choose. He looked at our parents. Come with us, or stay here and let Nadia run everything, but you can't have both. Dad stood up. He moved more slowly now than before the heart attack, but his steps were steady. He walked around the table to my chair and took my hand in his. We choose the daughter who kept us under this roof, he said. We choose gratitude. Mom's eyes flooded. We were so blind, she murmured. We're sorry, sweetheart. Evan's face shut down like a door slamming. Then we're done, he said. He grabbed Lena's hand. Their chairs scraped harshly as they pushed away from the table, the sound echoing in the quiet room. A minute later, the front door closed behind them. The party deflated. The cake sat untouched in the center of the table, frosting shining under the chandelier. I forwarded Colin's documents to the family group chat deed records, foreclosure filings, the cease and desist letters he'd drafted. The house, for the first time in a long time, felt defended. Days slid by. The emergency of the party faded, replaced by small, steady routines. Dad sat on the porch each morning, watching sparrows hop around the hedge, his breathing less labored. Sometimes he'd stand and oil a squeaky hinge or tighten a loose screw on the railing, small acts of ownership. Mom spread bills and statements across the kitchen table, sorting them into neat piles. No more secrets, she muttered. Not accusing, just tired. We do this together now. I drafted a simple tenancy agreement with Colin's help. Mom and Dad would stay in the house as long as they wished, rent set at $1 a year. It was symbolic, but sometimes symbols matter more than numbers. We all signed it, me as owner of Harborite Holdings, them as tenants who were more like guardians. 3 weeks later, my phone buzzed with Evan's name. I almost didn't answer. Then I did. His voice sounded thinner, stripped of its usual shine. I was cruel, he said without preface. I was thinking about money and square footage and not about people. We found another place. No pool yet. The kids are excited anyway. Can we try again? As a family, I mean. We can, I said, but there are conditions. Name them. You apologize to Mom and Dad, I said, properly. You stop treating my life like it's something to fix. and you never ever plan to spend what isn't yours, whether it's money or someone else's home. On the other end, I heard him exhale. Done, he said. I'm sorry, Nadia. That evening, we sat on the porch, Dad, Mom, and me, sharing a quiet that felt more like peace than absence. Dad patted the railing, eyes roaming over the yard, the windows, the roof. He still insisted he'd climb to fix next spring. Success, he said, almost to himself, is keeping your people housed. I looked at the house I'd nearly lost, the one I'd managed to save, and thought, this is what I built out of the wreckage. Not just a roof and walls, but a place where we get to choose each other again,